So I'm Joseph, Clive, and Clayton. We all work with this, but even some help, some, probably. Basically, this is our, just to give a taste. Okay. So the problem is there are people that are fleeing, getting away from conflicts, wars, etc. To seek better opportunities, basically running away from bad situations. And also they want to find protection. So they're losing touch with family and friends. An example is, imagine losing your wife or children because you have to leave the country to save life. Or the other way around, sending your children away, not because you don't want them, it's only because you don't want them to get killed or get something bad happens to them. Tracing currently is done manually by NGOs. It's very costly and not effective at all. It's not effective. It's time consuming because a lot of papers, so it's not effective. So our solution, we need something to connect each other. We believe in having an anonymous identity on the web, not like Facebook, Twitter, it's anonymous, just an ID. After creating the account, connect with family, connect with friends. Allow refugees to get key information in a simpler, quicker, cheaper way than ever before. NGOs are more efficient because they have a system that is doing it and they don't have to take care of it themselves. So how it works? You register on the website and you're given a number for, let me see, a 4-digit number and a 4 alphabet number. So it's more complicated, but it's easier to remember. You pinpoint your location just by pressing the button. You pinpoint your current location where you are, and that's it. You're not tracked where you go, or the way you're going, just where you were. Then, when you arrive in a destination, you just unclick. So there was a transition period. It saves the date, the time, etc. So you know that you were, for example, in Libya, you arrived in Malta. You make contact with family and friends. How? You know their ID, you just enter their ID and your ID from the website, and you send them a friend request, sort of, but without knowing who the person is. But you've got their ID. Maybe you ask, how do you get the ID? You cannot search for this person. The network that we got to know sort of as a group, it's very complex between sort of these asylum seekers and refugees. They get to know a lot of things, they know a lot of things about each other, and they do it themselves, they track themselves, sort of out. So by word of mouth, they can get the tracking number, some sort of communication they will try to do. Obviously, the other person will approve or decline the friend request. This is safe, and after, let's say it's approved. If it's declined, you see nothing. But if you approve it, but if the other person approved it, your friend or family, you will follow the journey from the day you have accepted the invitation. And after some time, or immediately, you can block the person. So potential use. It's not only for asylum seekers and refugees, sort of just to know where the other person is, but it can gather data, so you know what the age group is, who's leaving from where they're arriving, what nationality, etc. Can be used by NGOs to provide refugees with an online form for family tracing, empowerment even to the refugee themselves, instead of being able to ask the NGOs, they can do it themselves. With the data set, you can analyze and share it for future reference. You're not sharing anything personal, just you're sharing the locations and the age groups. So you get statistics, so you know what's happening. You reunite family and reunite.
Okay, so I'm in Syria. I want to leave. I'm going to leave my family because I'm going to try and find a better life in Malta. How do I find out about this? I mean, this is my question. I mean, because I need to come up with that passcode before I leave and use it, right? So you need to.
You need internet access, yes.
Well, you don't even need internet. All you have to do is talk to your family and say, look, this is giving me our code name. You don't even need a computer. You just have to know that you need to come up with
But
a code.
you need
Code.
the system generates a code for you. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, the system generates. Let's do the demonstration. Let's do the demonstration. Access with a card.
What are your code that you received and your password to the person?
Basically, here what we see is this person has asked, sort of, he tagged it as his wife, but it's originally a code because he changed it. That's the code, but he sort of pointed that it's his wife. And he knows the locations. There are the history, where the person was and where the person is. I don't know the kind of things. These were the friends. And the request, for example, is going to make a request to ask another person. These are the requests that that client received. Received from 7548 and 3313, and can accept or reject or decline the. Start log and log in for a new user, so that they see the generated code.
You need to first register with the website. So to do this, so to register, you have the register name. Or you need a password. In a range.
And the email is not necessary to put it.
Okay. The email is just there.
It may be useful for future purposes to actually include gender as well. So that statistically you can generate more information.
So this is the generated code. It's unique for every person, and he saves he has to give the code, obviously. You have to memorize the code.
But if you have your email, it will send you the code for
exactly.
So you have 4 days.
Request a friend with 1, 2, 3, 4 or someone else, or log off and go on 1, 2, 3, 4 and sort of use this one.
So I'm searching for my husband.
I seem to sleep last night.
I add the friend ID, the husband ID, and I can add a comment. So he knows that it's really me. For example, you can add a comment, maybe or something
that happens while sort of remember the particular place or something, so that you can sort of
something important.
No, look on my.
You've been very close in your group, haven't you? They were asleep tonight. If you go on the requests,
Hopefully.
oh, that's okay. Check by it correctly.
1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, we understand it's 2 lines, so don't
It's
So
okay.
it doesn't need to work.
Okay.
No, no.
No, because it was working.
I want to show
We have
My
one
sister
set
is-
question in the sense of the institutional sense, the organizational sense. So normally when there is an emergency, humanitarian emergency, say for example Syria, people would cross the border, for example to Jordan, and there would be an agency there providing immediate relief.
Yeah.
That organization could also be helping people to set up this code
Yes.
and giving them that code in case something happens and they do separate from their family members or whatever. And that would facilitate the whole tracing process globally, not just in that particular emergency situation.
Actually, what came to mind is, would it be possible they send the code through SMS to some number or something like that?
That's right.
That's what Facebook where you are. This number.
Because it's a future thing you can do is they could just send an SMS with their with my ID, with my ID, with my password, because we have to know that it's you who it's the person who is searching for him. It's the
Authenticating the person that is.
we can do another thing though. So my ID, my password and his user ID. Then from the server, it checks that my ID and my password match, and it will get his location if he checked in. And then when I receive his location and the date, so that if he checked in another date, you will know that he's still there. So that's you don't need any internet, and we can also do it. It's possible that we send to a number, to a mobile number or another number, and what it does, I can register from there. So I just send a blank SMS. It will store my number as the password, for example, and I will receive a user ID. When I want to search for him, for example, again I can send an SMS with his user ID, and it will, from the mobile number, it will know that it's the person I am, it's me who is searching for him, and it will notify him. He can make a request from the mobile or from the website, and you can continue. Maybe you will be notified by SMS. So it doesn't need to be on the web. You just need that phone. It's possible.
And also there is the here now when you press it, so it saves the current location. Right. Obviously we're on Malta, and you can open one. An existing one.
It's working.
Don't sound so surprised.
No, I thought it's working. That's why I'm waiting for it. It's working. And then you can do it on the map. Okay. Post nothing else.
And also we did a small application on the mobile, which sort of it's a very minimal version of it. Some here. Obviously it is on Windows. But it's an API.
What's the issue now? What are the engineers do now to try and track family members?
It's a lot of manual work. It's very laborious, and people are actually going to unknown places to try to investigate where the person is last seen, tracing genealogy, all sorts of very manual and physical kind of on the ground work, which is not always fruitful, honestly.
Alright, because the models are there inside. Okay.
Recently there was the Medusa tragedy, and there were parents in Sicily and children in Malta, and caseworkers in Malta which had to physically travel to Sicily to try to identify the parents through and give them pictures of the kids to see if they were actually their kids. They had to show them pictures of unfortunately dead kids, and it was horrific. If there there is something like this to try to alleviate some of that, those issues and costs as well, then the impact on the NGOs would be quite significant.
And also, it's really easy to see how you can actually benefit from using this application as an NGO in some emergency where you have to put up emergency camps and collect all these refugees before you ship them off somewhere else. You register them as groups and then you track them from there.
That's it.
So when they arrive, you know that they are actually gone the distance.
And the family members join them later in the camp. Well, my uncle told me that my dad might be here, and the NGO would then say, well, yes, we can track him through this because he's been through here and we have this information.
But they have to know the ID of the person. So
Yes.
That's what there's a legal angle to this as well. When refugees arrive in many countries, at least in Denmark, they are registered in the port, at the airport, and then they're basically given money to go to this camp close to the German border. Like 90% of the refugees we receive like that, they never show up. And it would be a huge time saver for the Danish authorities if they could actually tell these people, this is your code when you arrive at this center in 6 hours' time. Please tell the administration there, this is your number. Because it would be so easy for them to see which who do not show up.
Of course,
So
there is.
all the logistical parts from A to B, all of that could be made into an administrative solution.
Yes,
which is not
but
to be
of
seen
course, but of course, this is more for social good government authorities track.
Yes. Because otherwise,
That's why
And
it's
people wouldn't
anonymous.
use it.
Yes.
So
Because if that's the key, why not use Facebook? If
Exactly.
you want everyone to know where you are, you might use
And
Facebook.
that's what was the
I want to know you, but I don't want the authorities to
that's why
know.
it's
Exactly.
important
At
to
least
know.
we have statistics that
look, statistics are there just for information. And when we are talking, there's no need to know exactly on the day how many people arrived in Malta, where did they leave from, but it can be like amount old data. Sort of.
And you're giving them the next level of comfort because you're only using the code. You're not.
Exactly.
In no way I found like network portal.
no.
So there's no way for me
The only thing
to
for
is
The gender would be good for statistic purposes, but it's never.
Even the email. The email is not is optional. But if you don't enter your email, you have to remember your code. The email is just there so that you have your code saved in your email. Which when you do an email, you can embed anything. So you can create a fake email and you can use it for storing your user ID.
Also, we were talking about before showing this. Instead of, because we had in mind also to put as the, for example, I'm a father of 2 children, and I apply for my ID and I apply for my children's ID, and I put the children as that have a guardian, and you have the guardian would be with the ID of the father who puts obviously or puts it himself or the children puts it. But then sort of we were discussing and we came up with the idea sort of to have instead of registering as one user, you can register one user with 1, 2, 3 guardians out of 3 children. So something you have 3 children and you want to send them away, sort of you have your code, but your children have theirs. So and you're immediately tracking each other, obviously with all the blocking stuff. And obviously you have to accept them, but it's future.
That's something that you can log in. And all you have is just a button to locate yourself, to pinpoint yourself.
In fact, when you find it's pinpoint,
Not locate.
not
So that
portrait, just
and you'll have
why not all the ones that you're hooked up with?
sorry. Yes, we
There
can.
should be 2 buttons, right?
Yes, this is
And where are the others?
Yeah.
Yes.
Still a prototype.
It was. It had to be something like this.
But we had an issue with the data.
It had to be something like this. But
Right.
data. So you have your contacts, your friends, your profile, your ID,
Right.
and then to make the
Request.
the here to
Oh,
to track your location.
Yes.
On a simpler version.
So that will be in the works as well.
But the way we built it is sort of the API is just can be used by everyone.
And then
But you need this family registration that you need. As a family of 6 would generate 36 requests that you would have to confirm. You have to log in 6 times.
Exactly.
You have to
And
do
one
it
login.
in one go.
Exactly.
a
Otherwise,
suggestion which you said, I think so. That you create a code yourself,
A family doesn't do it.
a family code. Everyone knows it,
Everyone shares it the same.
I thought
shares it, and you don't need to register.
No, you don't need to have a computer because I'm thinking, okay, I'm in Syria, there's no internet connection, and I gotta get out of here. And I say, okay, our code now is
Exactly.
1, 2, 3,
4, ABCD, and everybody knows that. And they say, okay, the next time I'm at a computer, I'm gonna check my file, I'm gonna find out where my file is
Exactly.
because I know what's wrong.
The issue would be, for
Maybe
example,
they will
you
But
choose any
so many will choose 1, 2, 3, 4.
It has to be
Need
unique.
something.
It has to be unique. Yes.
There has to be something.
But it's when you register
now provide.
Yes.
I will have dinner with an Iranian family.
When you register, you should put in your number.
Which sounds really nice,
But it can. Yes.
Because we didn't want that, for example, given my passwords, then like, you put your date of birth, you put it, so it's completely, in fact, we wanted to put 4 random words, I-U-H-E. They don't make sense, so it's easy to remember. But we said, let's put,
What we were thinking about as well, instead of using numbers, we would make, for example, pictures. For example, 4 pictures. 3, car, street, for example. So it will be easier. It will be easier.
How easy is it? Because this would be nice if you had this engaged in Libya or where these guys start on their journey.
Yeah.
Is there any way this could be?
actually the journey starts from,
Persons from
far away.
Mali,
It is to be marketed by the NGOs.
Are there NGOs working in those areas where they like supporting, I don't know, maybe the countries where there's war?
Obviously, you need to monitor to the human traffic, right?
that was what I was thinking.
They are
Guys,
real
if
customers
on
of this
the
application.
they should really be telling them about this. That's important. Yeah.
It is a security issue.
Yeah. You know, if you're gonna do one decent thing today, tell them about this service.
You're participating in slavery. Please inform your slaves that there is a web page.
Fantastic.
It's reaching them, of course, it's a problem.
It's it's getting
But the countries, they're probably being kicked out from the country, right? That's absolutely
But raising awareness, I don't find it an issue because the power of the speech, the communication, it's to tell someone about something when it's something good. It spreads quite fast. I was speaking to refugees, for example, and he has contacts in his country. How do you contact this person? How do you contact your mother? He doesn't tell you because there are sort of, he sends money. How the hell does money arrive? Sort of, it arrives. So,
They got like a network.
a network, it's incredible. And I had read the book, What is the What? What is the What is called? And what is the what? And it's about a person that sort of the start of the journey till the end, sort of like 20 years past, but it's incredible how they get to know things, sort of police are coming, so if you want to get to know, you get to know. That's
Yeah, so this is a quicker way. Because eventually you'll find out how the family is, but it could take a month, right? Yeah.
exactly. Obviously.
Yeah.
And not everyone wants to use it.
Maybe NGOs in Malta, for example, say market, the Libyans or the Syrians that live in Malta, they will tell their families about it, and
That's why it's network communication and how we pass it on.
so it doesn't have to be marketed in their country.
Okay.
Something maybe did you want to mention about the information, access to legal assistance? And
Exactly. Right. And because on the website also we did a page about the sort of where can you get help. We didn't just we listed some like UNHCR, IOM, the basic sort of that we know about. But the NGOs, the organizations can subscribe. Our idea was not that sort of the organizations subscribe with the information, sort of a logo, details, contact details, and depends from where, for example, in Malta, we choose Malta and list of organizations come up, where I can get help. And there is a search, for example, child abuse, and sort of the list of, we thought about this thing, but this we wanted to do, but then we said
the idea is to be able to trace your family. So the end result would be family reunification. And because obviously there are different laws in place governing family reunification between different sovereign states, it can become very complicated. So people would want to access information. How can I identify my family? Where do I go to get this information? Where can I get legal assistance from?
Right.
How do I make the application?
This can be directly with countries, with
exactly. Our initial idea was to do, for example, a list of countries, Malta, the list of come up,
where you can get help.
and they can enter the data themselves. The email, telephone number, address, and the address of the particular country. It's a lot of information they need to put in, obviously. But
And also, what's anonymous about it is that these organizations cannot search the database. They can help the user search for his for his family.
And also get statistics in the way, as I said before, nothing that you cannot get personal stuff because you want to avoid it on mobiles or G's.
Right.
So you cannot. I have no ideas.
It's really valuable.
Which NGOs are you targeting? As execution and
my wife works not with an NGO, with an organization, and sort of I am in volunteer and sort of we're talking like we're not having fun, sort of we're talking about problems there are sort of, but not particular NGO. There is no particular.
do you have anyone in mind that would be you?
The International Red Cross is very active in family tracing. UNHCR does a lot of work in family, depending on the country, helps with family tracing. But I think only Red Cross to do this.
Sort of we spoke about it, sort of we were just chatting, and then we came to the idea. Then just Hack4Good, and sort of then we met up, and sort of we got it right. We got the idea out, sort of.
Yeah. I really like it.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Because you don't need that many cell phones.
No.
As long as it's easy to log in, I mean, anybody can do it.
Yeah, you've also the cell phone.
Yeah, it only takes a second.
Yeah.
And it's not very costly. It's just a little bit of data that's being transmitted. So,
Yeah.
This is cool.
Yeah, it's really great.
It's a very stable solution. The requirements are so low. It's so little information that needs to be submitted. It's not complicated anyway.
No, it's really simple.
It's really simple.
You are limited in the way sort of you cannot help more, and you cannot help sort of person to track another person because or not like pinpoint because you don't know nothing about the person.
But the thing that you need to have easy access to the applications. You can get the application onto the cell phone that you can borrow or that you have.
Exactly.
And you're going to have an easy
If we can make
internet address so you can
You don't need an application.
Exactly.
This
So,
is three words. Your user ID. You have to have the password. As if you borrow someone else's phone.
That's the case.
You need to log in, otherwise it doesn't make any sense.
So it has your user ID, my password, and his user ID.
It's like for the SMS.
For the SMS phone.
My only concern is maybe when these things happen already in the rush, they're in no way planning to leave.
They are.
How would you extract?
According to what I read and what sort of the stuff, especially that book, sometimes it is in a rush, yes. No, we have to leave everything and just leave. But sometimes it is sort of, you know something is going to happen, so you're going to leave. You know it's coming, so sort of, it's not like war starts from today is Sunday, tomorrow there's a war in the morning. So you know there's something going on. You can log in like 2 years before and never use it.
Again, with the SMS thing, you can register from it. You can get your user ID. So you just need, while you're on the way, you can just connect with each other.
I think it would depend on the individual and the scenario. You can't say, whether you leave, you have to leave immediately or whether you have to, whether it's planned. It's not always like simple to make a distinction. But the idea of having maybe the organization and the receiving country being able to facilitate that would solve that issue. If it's a very immediate crisis and people are forced to flee immediately, the receiving country would be able to facilitate the information and
Knowing code, code.
Also, they can pinpoint
You only need your own phone. You only need your own phone.
yes, but it comes with its own issues. Obviously, with anonymity and security, refugees, the whole point of being
For example,
refugees is to avoid feeling persecution. So if someone is trying to find
lose the SMS.
so that's
I
issue as
my
well.
number, everyone is there.
Refugees
Their user ID. But all of a sudden, there are some
try to keep it as anonymous as possible, but obviously that's difficult on Facebook and other social media.
About this SMS, we were discussing it sort of. We're just discussing it sort of totally false in his mind. Everything that I was like,
No, seriously, you can see this if there is like unrest in a country, so something's going on. Information about the solution needs to be out there, right? Yes. So it would be on any given Sunday evening during dinner, the head of the family will tell the rest of them, it's this, and I'm going to give you one number. It's really important that you remember this number. Then basically they are set.
Yeah.
Now they have an entire network helping them. They have the information available no matter where they end up. There will be contact information, one would hope, right? No matter where you end up, you will have a phone number that you can call. So it's no longer so dangerous to lose track of the other guys. I mean, they put on 2 boats or whatever.
Yeah,
This is cool.
I think it's really good.
One last question for mine about execution. Just run through the team. Who are you? Who's the team? And what's your I know your background. Like, I think you are the programmers for sure.
Yes.
They'd be stupid if they didn't. And yes.
I'm thinking, I'm a developer too, but I want to thank these guys because they had more time to work on.
but they put the infrastructure.
Yes, I will.
Then we
For the mobile.
exactly.
In the backend.
So you're actually programmers.
Yes.
But you're linked to someone who's linked to the
So
and in the NGO. Basically, see what is the team able to execute on.
We met another person.
There would need to be more research as to what's currently available, and obviously it takes a lot of time to
we didn't research what that is available. I'm sure there's
Capabilities.
similar. But we didn't research if there's something. We just sort of discussed what would be good to do.
There's a 4 response.